Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
The moment I walked onto that rooftop, I knew something was off. The lights, the music, the view over Rome, all perfect. Because I'd made it that way. I planned every detail for Judith's 60th birthday, from the vintage Prosecco on the ice to the imported orchids on the damn table. But there wasn't a seat for me. 12 chairs, all filled, except the one spot where there should have been a 13th, a clean gap between two settings, like someone forgot I existed. Dana didn't even flinch. She just chuckled, lifted her glass, and said, "Guess we miscounted." The whole table laughed like it was some kind of joke. Judith was grinning, already deep in conversation with one of her smug friends. Dana's dad didn't look up. One of the cousins smirked over his wine glass. Nobody moved. Nobody stood. Nobody said, "Hey, wait, let's grab a chair." I stood there for maybe 5 seconds, just enough to see their faces and let it sink in. My heart didn't race. It slowed. I felt my jaw clench. I felt my spine straighten. But more than anything, I felt clarity. I said, "Guess I'm not family." Then I turned around and walked out. No dramatic pause. No scene. Just walked. Past the string lights. Past the waiter who gave me a confused glance. Down the marble steps I'd paid extra to have pressure washed the day before. Outside, the night hit me like a slap. Warm, loud, alive. The sounds of scooters in the distance, the smell of garlic and exhaust in the air. I didn't hesitate. I pulled out my phone, opened my calendar and scrolled. Reservation for the yacht tour, under my account. Car service to Naples tomorrow, my card. The exclusive rooftop brunch 2 days from now, mine too. Quick note, while the story plays, how's your day going and where are you listening from? They'd made their point. Now I was about to make mine. I sat down at a street cafe 2 blocks from that rooftop and started canceling things. As I scrolled through the reservations I'd made, one after another, I had this quiet moment of rage, not screaming, not breaking anything, just this deep, cold burn in my chest. Because this wasn't new, not by a long shot. 5 years back, I was running my logistics firm out of a little office in downtown Chicago. We weren't huge, but we were legit, handling corporate launches, high-end events, real estate galas, white tablecloth stuff. Tight timelines, VIPs, big egos. I was good at it because I kept my head down and got it done. That's how I met Dana. Her dad's company was throwing this massive launch party for some luxury condo tower, rooftop cocktails, custom light show, valet parking, the whole deal. I made it happen without a hiccup. Dana was there in a black blazer and heels that probably cost more than my first car. Confident, sharp. She asked me questions no client ever asked. How I structured my team, what kind of profit margins I pulled. Not small talk, real talk. I liked that. She was out of my league, I knew it. I didn't come from her world. I was a blue-collar kid who built something from scratch. But she didn't seem to care. She liked how I worked under pressure, how I could walk into chaos and walk out with a signed invoice and a thank you note. The first time I met her mom, Judith, I knew exactly where the line was. We were having dinner at their place in Winnetka, the kind of place where even the guest towels had stitching. I brought a bottle of wine I thought was nice. Judith looked at the label and said, "Well, that's ambitious." Then she turned to Dana and said, "You've always had such a generous heart for people." Not people, me. Every conversation with Judith felt like a performance review I hadn't applied for. She'd say things like, "You've done well considering your background," or "You're very articulate," always with that half smile like she was being polite at a charity auction. Dana never really pushed back. If I brought it up, she'd just shrug and say, "That's just how my mom is." Like it was a weather pattern I was supposed to accept. At first, I thought I could earn their respect. Maybe if I kept showing up, stayed dependable, proved I was good enough, they'd start treating me like family instead of some contractor who'd overstayed his welcome. I was wrong. It wasn't just Judith either. Dana started treating me like her go-to guy for anything messy, moving logistics, vendor calls, last-minute event crises. When her friends needed help planning destination weddings or sourcing rare champagne, guess who got the text? I was useful, and I leaned into it, like an idiot. Not because I liked being used. Because I thought it would buy me a seat at the table, a real one. There was this night about a year in. Dana was hosting a dinner for her dad's board members. Caterers, valet, floral design, all on me. I nailed it. Right as dessert was coming out, I overheard Judith whisper to a guest, "He runs around like staff, doesn't he?" Then she laughed. I didn't say anything, just kept topping off champagne glasses and making sure the dessert was warm. Looking back now, that was the beginning. That was when I started realizing I wasn't actually in their circle. I was orbiting it, close enough to be convenient, never close enough to belong. But I still stayed. I told myself it would get better, that Dana just needed time to set boundaries, that if I kept showing up, they'd see my worth. What they saw was someone willing to do everything for nothing, and they took full advantage. It all really cracked a week before we left for Rome. Dana was in the kitchen talking on speakerphone to her mom about menu options, pretending like I wasn't 5 feet away. I let it slide. Again. When she left for a facial appointment, yes, an actual facial, I stayed behind to fix the busted AC in the guest room. She'd scheduled the tech, left him with my number, and vanished. Typical. After he left, I went to grab my keys from the console drawer. That's when I saw it. Her tablet sitting half open on the dining table, screen still glowing. I didn't go looking for anything. I swear to God I didn't. I just glanced. Then I froze. The tab open was a draft doc titled Rome Announcement Final. I tapped it, and I saw it. A whole script, and I mean a full script, for how Dana was going to gently share that we'd decided to separate. In her words, "We've grown apart, but we still care deeply about each other. We wanted to be honest, and this felt like the right time to let everyone know, surrounded by people who love us both." Bullshit. I scrolled further. There were talking points for questions. A little note about not blaming anyone. It even listed expected reactions and how to stay calm if he doesn't take it well. I felt like I was reading a press release, not a breakup. I backed out of the doc, went into her cloud files. I knew the password. She used the same one for everything. Her dog's name and some Roman numeral. That's when the hole got deeper. There were PDFs of separation papers, signed by her, not me. A digital trail showing she'd already moved assets out of our joint accounts. Transfers to an account in the Caymans. I found invoices for fake consulting fees she sent to herself through one of her dad's shell companies. And then came the text messages. Her and Alex, her ex. Not ex anymore, apparently. They weren't just catching up. They were meeting. They were planning weekends. He sent her photos of his new apartment, and she replied, "Can't wait to wake up there again." That one felt like a punch. I had to sit down. I kept scrolling, and then I saw it. A scanned handwritten note. From Judith. "Once this unpleasantness is behind us, you can bring Alex back into the picture. Just make sure everything looks clean by the dinner." I took photos of everything. Emails, documents, wire transfers, screenshots of the messages, every last bit. My hands were shaking, but I kept going, methodical. Name, date, folder. Saved them to an encrypted drive I already had set up for work backups. She walked in an hour later, fresh-faced, carrying a tiny shopping bag like nothing was wrong. She said, "You still dealing with the AC guy?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yeah, almost done." That was it. No fight, no storming out. I wasn't going to give her the scene she'd prepped for. I spent the rest of that week watching her pack, smile, and send her little confirmation emails for Rome like we were still solid. I nodded along, gave her nothing. Because here's the thing, I don't lose my shit when I'm angry. I get focused. If she and her mom wanted to humiliate me in public, script my humiliation like a damn sitcom finale, then fine, let 'em. But I wasn't going to be the quiet, dumb grunt who took it. I was going to let them go through with their little performance. I'd even smile for the camera if they needed it. Then I'd tear the whole thing down, brick by brick. The moment our flight touched down in Rome, Dana switched off. Not just airplane mode, full emotional blackout. No eye contact, no small talk. Just business voice and Instagram smiles. We rolled through customs and I flagged down the drivers I'd booked weeks in advance. 3 sleek black Mercedes vans, leather interior, chilled water, English-speaking chauffeurs. all timed down to the minute. Judith walked up, took one look and said, "These cars look generic." Not, "Thank you." Not even a nod. Just that sniffy little dig she was famous for. Dana stood right next to her and said nothing. Not even a fake defense. We got to the hotel. 5-star private balconies, Michelin-rated restaurant in the lobby. I handed out keys for the suites. I'd booked everyone. Arranged custom fruit baskets, split up the rooms by preference, even made sure her dad got a mattress firm enough for his back. Judith turned to Dana and said, "You'd think he'd know I hate pears." Loud enough for me to hear. That night, I ate room service alone. Dana was off at a family dinner, apparently too last minute for me to join. Next morning, I went to the front desk to check the itinerary I'd sent them. Spa appointments, city tours, private driver schedule. Bellhop looked confused and said, "I think they already left for the cooking class." Cooking class? I called Dana, straight to voicemail. That's how it went for 4 days straight. I'd hear about their little outings from concierges, waiters, cab drivers, always after the fact. Gelato tastings, private wine cellar tours, a Vespa ride through Trastevere. Every damn one was something I booked. Judith pretended I wasn't there, even when we stood next to each other in the elevator. I held the door open once. She didn't even glance at me. Dana started calling me babe in public like it was a nervous tic, but behind closed doors, she barely spoke. It got to the point where I stopped pretending. I went to breakfast alone. I walked the city by myself. I'd sit outside cafes and just watch them pass, all smiles and matching sunglasses, never looking around to check if I was with them. Then came the moment that lit the fuse. I was coming back from a walk near Piazza Navona when I passed the concierge desk. Judith was standing there on the hotel phone, voice low but sharp. I stopped behind one of the marble columns and listened. "There will be 12 seats," she said. "Not 13, he won't be staying." Then she laughed. A short, dry little thing. The kind of laugh people use when they know they've won. That was it. I didn't go back to the suite. I walked straight to the cafe across the street, pulled out my phone, and opened my reservation app. Yacht charter? Canceled. Car service to Naples? Gone. Private Vatican tour? I deleted the contact. That evening, Dana came back to the suite all giddy, rambling about a dinner reservation I supposedly booked for them in Trastevere. I just said, "Hope it's still there." Next day, her dad called me, irritated. "Our guide never showed up," I said. "Weird. Maybe call the booking agent." He hung up. Judith cornered me in the lobby after that. She said, "I don't know what's going on, but this pettiness is beneath you." I smiled. "Don't worry. I'm just the guy who runs around like staff, remember?" She blinked. Just for a second. That tiny flinch in the eyes when someone realizes you've been keeping score. By the time the birthday dinner came around, I'd canceled over half the things they were relying on. Limousines, catering upgrades, the damn birthday cake itself. They still thought I'd show up, smile, and help them pull it off. They had no clue what was coming. I showed up late on purpose. Didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing me rush. Let them sweat a little, wonder if I was even coming. When I stepped onto the rooftop, the sky was already fading from gold to navy. The lights I'd chosen, warm, low-hanging lanterns, made the place glow like a movie set. The skyline behind them was pure Roman drama, domes, spires, soft clouds curling over the horizon. You could smell rosemary from the planters. Imported wine chilled in silver buckets. Every damn piece of that setting had my fingerprints on it, and not a single person looked up. They were mid-toast, Dana holding court with that hollow party laugh she practiced in mirrors. Judith perched at the head of the table like royalty. Her dress was some pale silk thing that made her look even colder than usual. I walked in slow, suit sharp, shoes clean. No rush. Just scanned the table like I belonged there. Because technically I did. Or had. Then I saw it. 12 chairs. A wide mahogany table with place settings so tight you couldn't miss the gap. One clean, open space between two cousins. Napkin folded, plate centered. No chair, just a hole. A message, plain and silent. My chest got tight, but I didn't flinch. I stepped toward the table anyway. I wanted them to see me process it. Wanted them to look me in the eye as it landed. Judith turned, all fake surprise. Oh, was there a mix-up with the seating? Dana didn't even look me in the face. Just this weak smile, and we must have miscounted. Miscounted. On a table I booked. With chairs I approved. On a goddamn rooftop I reserved 6 months in advance because Judith wanted the one with historic character. I looked at them, all 12 of them, in their designer shoes and smug little smirks, wine glasses half raised, phones face down, everyone waiting to see what I'd do. So I made sure they'd remember it. I stepped right into that gap, stared at the empty space where the chair should have been. I didn't rush. I let the silence stretch. Then I said it. Guess I'm not family. Not loud, just clear, crisp. A statement. The table froze, forks in midair. One of Judith's sisters looked away like she was embarrassed, or maybe impressed. I turned and walked. No one stopped me. No one called my name. The sound of wine glasses clinking picked up again like they were trying to cover the bruise. Dana didn't move. She just kept her hands folded in her lap like a kid who got caught cheating but wouldn't admit it. I took the stairs instead of the elevator. Needed to feel my shoes hit the stone. That steady click of leather on marble, louder than it should have been. By the time I reached the street, my jacket was open and my jaw had unclenched. Rome at night has a rhythm. Horns in the distance, scooters zipping past, the low hum of Italians spilling out of alley cafes. The air smelled like espresso and cigarette smoke, and I'd never loved it more. I crossed the street, slid into a seat at a tiny cafe with no tablecloths and no wait list, and pulled out my laptop. Logged in, clicked through the master itinerary. First up, Judith's spa morning. Full cancellation, effective immediately. Then the car service for the after-dinner winery trip. Gone. I moved through the list like it was muscle memory. Driver names, booking codes, wire transfer receipts. Delete, refund, block. Every click was a release. Every cancellation was one less favor they could hold over me. Let them sit there sipping their hand-picked rosé while their plans unraveled. Let them scramble tomorrow when no one shows up with the vintage Fiat Tour. Let them call the concierge and hear, "Unfortunately, that reservation was canceled." I didn't need to raise my voice or make a scene. They wanted public humiliation? Fine. They'd get it. Just not the kind they rehearsed. I stayed at the cafe for a while after hitting send on the last cancellation. Sipped an espresso, let the clock tick past the point of no return. Then I paid cash and walked the 2 blocks back to the restaurant like I had nothing in the world to rush for. The staff at the rooftop entrance didn't even blink. I still had my access badge from booking the damn venue. I didn't walk onto the terrace. I stayed tucked into a narrow alcove by the kitchen doors, hidden behind a half-open service curtain. From there I had a clear view of the table. 12 of them, seated under golden light. Judith holding court again, her voice louder than anyone else's, like the place was hers. Dana sat next to her dad, nodding, smiling like none of this was about to come crashing down. Then I saw Marco, the restaurant manager, sharp suit, tablet in hand, tight jaw. He scanned the floor, spotted the table, and made his move. Straight to Dana's dad. Bent down and whispered something I couldn't hear. The reaction was immediate. Dana's dad leaned back, stared at Marco like he'd misheard. Marco showed him something on the tablet. Judith's smile died instantly, fork still in her hand, mid-air. Dana looked up, confused, then her phone lit up on the table. She picked it up, tapped the screen. Her eyebrows dropped. She scrolled, tapped again. Her lips parted like she was going to speak, but nothing came out. Then came the text. "What are you doing?" I didn't respond. "Come back." Then, "You're being ridiculous. This is your fault." That one made me laugh. I answered when the phone rang. "Everything you're eating right now," I said. "The deposit's been voided. Hope the card on file still works." "What?" "I'd call your mom over," I said. "Let her enjoy that caviar if she can afford it." There was a beat of silence. Then I heard her breathing shift. The panic finally showed. "You can't do this. Everyone's watching." "Exactly." Out on the floor, Marco was now talking to the servers. One of them nodded and started walking toward the kitchen, eyes wide. I caught her saying something in Italian, fast and anxious, to the line cooks. Other diners had turned their heads. Phones were coming out. The birthday table wasn't celebrating anymore. They were flipping through screens, muttering to each other, waving for staff. Judith stood up, flustered, trying to flag Marco back. Dana's dad slammed his napkin on the table. The vibe shifted fast, from lavish dinner party to corporate crisis. Dana was still on the phone. "You're making a scene," she said. "No, you made the scene," I said. "I just gave it lighting and a soundtrack." "Jesus, just stop!" I cut her off. "This is what it feels like to be left out on purpose. Sucks, doesn't it?" She didn't answer. I hung up. The next 10 minutes played out like a slow car wreck. Marco returned with the bill, full amount, no discounts, no adjustments. Dana's dad was trying to argue while Judith pulled out a sleek little clutch and started rifling for cards. Dana stared at her phone like it might rescue her. I watched her thumb twitch like she was about to text again, but stopped. One of the cousins stood up, muttering something, clearly embarrassed. Another reached for their wallet, probably praying someone else would handle it. I didn't wait for the ending. I'd seen enough. I stepped back from the curtain, walked down the stairs, and out the front doors without anyone noticing. Outside, the air was still thick with heat and perfume and city noise. I turned the corner and disappeared into the Roman night like I hadn't just thrown a grenade into their five-star fantasy. And the best part? They were the ones who lit the fuse. By the time I hit the airport, they'd stopped texting. No more half apologies. No fake, "you're overreacting" nonsense. Just silence. I flew out 2 days after the dinner, first class. On my own dime, technically on their dime, considering the reward points I racked up booking their luxury vacations the last 3 years. Either way, I didn't owe them a thing. I landed in Chicago and went straight home. Dropped my bag inside the front door, stood there for a second just staring at my place. It felt clean, quiet, real. Then the damage control started. First it was Dana. She emailed a weak apology. No subject line, no real emotion. Just, "I didn't mean for things to go that way." 2 hours later, she followed it up with a text. "We should talk. Please don't do anything rash." I didn't answer. Next day, a letter came from Judith's lawyer. Thick envelope, high-end paper, full of carefully worded garbage, basically a pre-threat. No direct accusations, just a lot of unauthorized interference and possible legal exposure if I didn't back off. I didn't even open it fully, just slid it across the desk to my attorney, Paul, who I'd already called the moment I landed. He opened a folder, already labeled with their family name. "I've got wire records," I told him. "Transfers, shell contracts, timestamps. She also used internal company accounts for personal expenses and moved joint assets without consent." Paul didn't even blink. "You have digital copies?" "All of it, plus the text thread with Alex. And a scanned note from Judith basically planning the PR timing of our split." He whistled low. "We're not asking for a deal, right?" "Hell no," I said. "We're burning it down." 2 days later, Dana showed up at my place. No heads up. Just rang the buzzer like she still lived there. I didn't want to let her up, but I was done hiding. She walked in like she'd been rehearsing. Tight smile, hair perfect, pretending like this was just some adult conversation. She didn't even sit. Just stood there in my kitchen and said, "Name your price." That's when I knew she didn't get it. Not even close. "I don't want your money," I said. "I want out. No strings, no negotiations, no amicable separation press release. I want silence. I want space. And I never want to hear your mother's name again." Her mouth opened, but I didn't let her talk. "You treated me like staff. Your whole family did. I took it. Now I'm not." She looked around the room like maybe the furniture would back her up. Then she left without another word. A week later, I was sipping coffee, scrolling headlines when I saw it. Chicago real estate family facing SEC scrutiny over possible insider transfers. I didn't leak it, not directly. But I wasn't shocked. Finance blogs have a way of sniffing out dirt, and once it's loose, it spreads fast. especially when someone quietly points the right reporter to the right trail. They didn't name Dana or Judith outright, but the company logo was front and center. Enough breadcrumbs for anyone to follow. No more letters came after that. No texts. No calls. Nothing. The silence said everything. I wasn't useful anymore. That was all I'd ever been to them. The guy who solved problems, who made things run, who kept his mouth shut and his head down. But not anymore. Now they were the ones cleaning up, and I was finally free. Question: what would you have done if you found out your partner planned your breakup behind your back? Drop your answer in the comments. We want to hear your take. And if you like the story, hit subscribe and give it a like. More coming soon.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.